they're not on benefits. They don't get any benefits and very little in the way of public services. They spend money while they're here. The students have to show that they can support themselves and their dependents. And moreover, dependents can also work, which contributes to the economy. So again,
to discuss this further, I'm very pleased to be joined by the economist who I'm sure you all know, Jonathan Portes. Jonathan, thank you for joining me again on this programme. The Treasury is very keen on legal migration because it maintains it grows GDP, which to an extent is true, but it doesn't grow GDP per capita. Which do you think is more important?
Oh, GDP per capita is definitely more important. But you're wrong that it doesn't grow GDP per capita. That's what the research says. But more, and in particular, you're wrong that this is not what the British people voted for. I have here what Vote Leave promised when during the Brexit referendum and what you ran 2 general elections on and won, which is that you would end free movement and you create a new system that prioritized higher paid, higher skilled workers in order precisely to do what you want, to grow GDP per capita. And that's what you've done. And I remember last time I was on this show, I pointed out to you that Brexit had reduced our trade, reduced our investment, and reduced GDP. All that is true. All economists agree. But
well, not all economists agree, actually. That's not true. That's a bold statement. There are plenty of economists who would dispute that. But let's come back to our immigration promise, because yes, we promised high wages, but actually the level of wages you have to get a visa has been reduced. So it's gone down to pretty moderate wages.
It's gone, so it is for middle and high skilled workers. But most of the people, so you talk about fruit pickers. Fruit pickers don't actually count in the immigration figures. So that's a bit of a distraction from you and the Home Secretary. Most of the workers who are coming to work in the NHS. They're coming to work in the care sector, or they're coming to work in information and communication technology, business services, higher education, my sector. These are either relatively higher paid sectors or sectors where we need the workers.
But you're actually missing out the tens of thousands of people who come accompanying students.
Yes, and people who come accompanying students, first of all, the students have to show that they can support them. They're not on benefits. They don't get any benefits and very little in the way of public services. They spend money while they're here. The students have to show that they can support themselves and their dependents. And moreover, dependents can also work, which contributes to the economy. So again, you have put in place a system which on the whole is good for the economy, helps grow not just GDP, but per capita GDP. It's actually a Brexit success. It's quite bizarre that this is the one actual genuine economic benefit of Brexit. And you and Mrs. Braverman, despite the fact that you ran on it in your manifestos, you promised to us in the referendum, you've delivered it, and now you seem to be running away from it as fast as possible.
Well, because the wage level has been reduced and the numbers seem to be getting out of control, and many of them are not actually contributing economically. A lot of the dependents are not contributing economically to the UK. And we're not building the houses for them. We're failing to build the 300,000 houses a year we need anyway. So where are the immigrants going to live?
Now, let me just pick you up on something, because you made a statement which is clearly false, right? You said the dependents don't contribute to the UK economy. They come here, they have to show they have the means to support themselves, they cannot claim benefits, and they spend money which the students and their dependents have to show before they come they have in their bank accounts to support themselves. So in what sense are you saying they don't contribute economically? I would say, you've put in place a system which works. What's the problem?
Because I think the figures that you're using are highly selective, that many of the people who come over as dependents aren't working when they come here. Therefore, their economic contribution is minimal. Many of the jobs that are now being filled are low-skilled, low-wage jobs which aren't contributing to GDP per capita. The purpose of the policy in the 2019 manifesto was to have people who would have high wages, not to have people who are on really pretty low wages, which is unfair on our least well-paid in this country because it prices them out of the market.
But you, as I said, You've shown no evidence of that. I can give you the figures for the number of people who've come in to work in IT.
Well, the evidence is very clear. The amount you have to earn to come in on a special visa, shortage visa, has been reduced.
You're speaking about dependents.
And if you look at HGV drivers, there was a claim that we needed to import lots of HGV drivers. Actually, we found that we could recruit our own HGV drivers with better pay by streamlining the examination system and paying them a bit more. And that meant that we got the HGV drivers that we need. That's a success of Brexit, not undercutting the wages of the least well off.
But you have, as I said, there's no evidence that student dependents, which you refer to, undercut the wages of the least well off. As I said,
no, but they're not contributing economically. They're the ones who aren't working. That's the point. I also dispute, you've said they contribute to GDP per capita. Actually, the low-wage ones reduce GDP per capita.
Well, wait, the majority of people who come, as I've already said, and it is very clear from the statistics, Jacob, the vast majority of people who come here on work visas are either coming in high-skilled, high-paid jobs, or they're coming to work in the NHS, or they're coming to work in the care sector, where it's true wages are low. And it's true that is something that the government has got wrong. You have not been willing to fund the care sector properly. And as a consequence, we underpay, undertrain, and treat care workers very badly. And we do.
But this is the key point, and this will come to the argument tomorrow about fruit pickers, that if you keep on opening up visas to low-paid workers, you will never move to a higher paid, higher skilled economy, and that it's a very short-term bad fix to the problem.
I actually broadly agree with you on fruit pickers. As I said, it's a bit of a distraction since they don't count in the rather spurious figures that you cited earlier at all. They're not immigrants. They come here temporarily, so they don't count as immigrants.
Well, it depends if they actually go at the end of the period, and that's always an issue as to whether people are able to roll over visas.
Jacob, again, this is part of the visa condition, and it's enforced. There's no, we have lots of we know that fruit pickers leave at the end of the period. That's not the issue. So you're just distracting when you talk about fruit pickers.
Well, I think the question is whether this country is really a fruit-picking economy or whether we need to be more ambitious. But at least we found one point of agreement at the end. Thank you so much for joining me again. I hope to welcome you back again soon.